good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Saturday. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to House Talk Pregame. I am your host, sports mental health empowerment coach, Dr. Lauren Pitts. My ride or die, my co-host, Ronnie Ransom, is not with us today. He took the day off because, family first. HT is all about the family. He had some stuff he had to take care of today, but Ronnie will be back with us next week. I'm going to introduce our illustrious guest in just a moment. But I want to remind you what HT Pregame is all about. It's all about family. It is all about family. It's all about your family and our family. And week after week, we are having the hard conversations on topics that are relevant to our Black and Brown communities globally, including our HBCU families, scholar and professional athletes and their families, and our Heritage Sports Radio Network family. We absolutely love, and we are so honored and appreciative that you join us week after week to get the powerful, albeit raw, Corinne, albeit raw life, sports, and mental health information needed to make well-informed, athletic, and just overall life-transforming decisions. Even if you're not an athlete, this information is relevant to you. We want you to remember to catch us on HSRN every Saturday at this same time, 11 a.m., and at 10 p.m., as well as on Sundays at 6 p.m. We have a great show lined up for you today. And in case you've been paying attention to all of the posts that have been going up all week, and I had announced last week that we were going to be extending financial literacy awareness to today's show because our amazing guest was not able to join us the previous 2 weeks. So I wanted to have an opportunity to get this powerful information out to you that she's going to share today. So we decided to extend financial literacy to today. And that's really what today's show is all about. Today's show is all about redefining the scholar athletes and their credit worthiness. And to help us do that, to really illuminate and to provide insight and this powerful wisdom is our illustrious guest, Corinne Hamilton. Born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised on planet Earth, Corinne is a free spirit that loves to travel, laugh, and dote over her 3 spectacular daughters. A military veteran of both the Air Force and Army, Corinne appreciates the diversity, connections, and the opportunities our country has to offer, as well as globetrotting to discover new and exciting possibilities. She is co-author of the literary work, A Course in Gratitude, and she's going to talk more about that in a bit, and believes that the simple practice of appreciation can create magic. Say that. She is currently supporting dreamers with realizing and achieving their personal financial goals by improving credit health and providing valuable financial strategies with her awesome team at Cure My Credit Scores. Her life purpose is to be love and encourage others to live their best possible life. Corinne, welcome to HT. I'm so hyped to have you here. Welcome.
That person sounds great.
Look, all hail the queen. You are great. You know it.
Wow. I was tearing up a little bit like, oh, I love her.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And before we jump into the show, you all know that week after week, Ronnie and I share a mental health tip of the week. And the mental health tip this week, oftentimes I'll share a tidbit or a highlight from something that continues to come up in my sessions with clients that I work with all over the world. And it's interesting, we're continuing our discussion around financial literacy. And I want to give you some insight for a moment on the importance of, for those of you that are in committed relationships, but perhaps not married yet, or even for those of you that are in committed relationships, financial literacy is something that you should be able to talk about amicably. It is something that can only stress you out and deteriorate your mental wellness if you allow it. And my recommendation to you is to be proactive in having these discussions before all hell breaks loose and you find yourself in financial crises. As we know, any type of crises can put an exorbitant amount of strain on our mental wellness. But we also know that finances are one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why people get divorced or people break up, even if they're not married. So, my encouragement to you today is to be proactive and do your level best to get on the same page where your financial literacy is concerned so that you're speaking the same language. And she's gonna take us through some of that language today. She's going to educate you, she's going to empower you, and our hope is that she's going to liberate you and improve your financial literacy so that you have the information that you need to improve your financial conversations in your committed relationships, but also with your children. Because, we have kids that are getting ready to go off to college. We have folks that want to go off to college and can't because they didn't get that full athletic scholarship, and folk in the house aren't credit worthy, so folk can't co-sign for a student loan. It's a whole hot mess. And you know what? Folk are having knockdown, drag out fights, pointing the finger and blaming. Well, you said and you did, and if you wasn't so sorry, and if you would get up and go to work, and it's like, whoa. And all of this is wearing and tearing on the mental wellness. So in short, the tip that I want to give you today is do not allow the perceived strain of financial illiteracy tear your mind up and tear your relationships up, because we are about to hose you in the face with some more information to liberate you financially and to help you to have more effective, more harmonious conversations around your money. Before Corinne jumps in, I told Corinne before we went live that I wanted to highlight, and forgive me, charge it to my head and not my heart if I am pronouncing the gentleman's name wrong. I believe his name is Kwity, Kwity, Kwity Paye. He was drafted on Thursday night by the Indianapolis Colts. So he's actually going to be with the Colts with our hometown boy from Salem, New Jersey, JT, Jonathan Taylor, baby. He's going to be with the Colts there with JT doing the darn thing. But why I wanted to love on him a bit is because he shared what Corinne, I'm going to call it his testimony. He shared his testimony when they interviewed him right after he was drafted. And this young man has a heart of gold. He and his family are immigrants from Africa. They came here when he was a baby when they came here. So he was raised in Providence, Rhode Island, and his mother, Corinne, worked 4 jobs to take care of him and his siblings. And she literally worked herself half silly to put him in private school so that he could get the recognition and the visibility that was needed, because he promised her, Corinne, as a small child, that he was going to make it to the NFL and he was going to take care of her.
Yeah.
So they were concluding the interview on Thursday and asked him, so what's next? And he said, she retires. I said, you go, baby. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's
I know
Day.
that's
Happy
right.
Mother's Day. It's like, what you get for Mother's Day? Retirement, because my baby in the NFL with this fat contract. So, I just wanted
That's amazing.
to spotlight him, because I think that it's so extraordinary that he made that commitment to her at a young age. And it speaks volumes of the love and the regard that he has for her and family, right? And so I just thought it was fitting to share that. And now I want to jump in. I want to start hosing them in the face, Corinne. We're going to hose them in the face.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add a little bit. I was thinking about what you said about the tip. And, I want to go deeper on getting on the same accord when it comes to money. I don't know if the language is as important as the intention, and people don't always have a like intention with the money. I've been observing couples, and we've been talking about it, and everybody wants to, okay, so when I was 20 something, my ex-husband, his mother said, give him something to be in charge of with the money, because you're, I always say this word wrong, emasculating.
You were emasculating him.
Yeah, so I give him something, and he goes off and pays like Radio Shack and somebody, the rent's not paid, the car payment's not paid, you know, the stuff, the lights not paid, stuff, crazy stuff. And he thought if we were both military, he thought if we had checks, we had money, just had no clue. And I'm 21, but I'm 5 years older than him, technically, we're the same age. So I'm saying now, I realize that if you're the one who does the good math, then you do the good math and build some trust and communication so that the people with their strengths can handle their strengths. Yeah. Now, I don't think you should keep the other person blind. I do the budget in our family, and then I do like a business meeting. You know, we're a partnership business, and I say, this is where we're at. And right here on my whiteboard, it says where our stocks are doing and da 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 da. And we're having fun with it. It's fun that way. You can't hide it all. You can't, you know, take it all to yourself. But if the other person, if that's not, because here's what happens. The other person takes care of it. Something negative happens, and then you blame that person. And that's where the deterioration in the relationship starts.
That's real. That's real. And to piggyback on that, that is an outstanding point. And what my fiance and I do the same thing, and it hilarious. So we had a situation the other day. So we have joint accounts, right? So, you know, when you well, we each have our individual account that's not a secret, right? He has an individual account that I'm not on. I have an individual account that he's not on, but then all of the rest of our accounts we're each on. And so when you log in to do your online banking, you can see, right? So he says to me the other day, he was like, babe, I accidentally clicked on this tab. And now, mind you, he knows what I make, right? He knows what I make, and I know what he makes. So he knows what we have coming in. We know what's coming into the house, right? So when my Corinne, he says, babe, I clicked on the tab and I saw what you got coming in. And I'm like, I said, for real, that's what we're doing? Really? So, you know, he was joking and clowning about it. But to your point, we have fun with it.
Yeah.
Fun with it, right? And so case in point, so God blessed and had some great things happen yesterday. And I said, did you pay for that? Or did I pay for that? He was like, no, you paid for that. See how you treat me? See how you handle me right now? But we have fun with it.
Yeah.
So I'm the one with the good math. You know, I'm the one with the good math. I'm the one that leads and provides insight, not leading in an emasculating sort of way, but because it's my strength, right?
Right.
So setting up the budget, but we sit down and go over it together. That's to your point. We sit down and go over it together. You have the conversations with the financial advisor together. You know what's invested where, how this, that, and the third is doing. And people, I'm sure it's all people, but I'm just going to speak about us right now. My money this and we don't. It's ours. He knows what's his is ours. What's mine is ours. What's ours is ours. If we are building a life together. Now, we joke and clown that, you know, what's his is mine. What's mine is mine. And what's ours is mine. But it's a joke. That's not seriously how we govern our financial affairs. We are in this thing together. We are building it together. And it's not his money or Lauren's money. It's our money. And we are doing this thing called life together. And in that, we're both fiscally responsible. You know, I'm not, he says, babe, are there more packages coming today? I'm like, yeah.
About 5.
Look, Bill, look, Corinne, we get married in 3 weeks. Yeah, there's last minute packages coming. But I told you.
Congratulations.
They were coming. Thank you. I told you them packages was coming. You just forgot. He said, baby, you did not tell me them packages was coming. Yes, I did.
Yeah. But, you know, just for people to know, variety is your model works and there are other models. I was reading with financial analysts how Some people just have joint accounts. Some people have 2 separate accounts, but the deal is just the communication.
That's right.
And I've seen it done your way. Yours, mine, and ours, and all the bills come out this one, and then we do that. Yep. It doesn't matter. So as long as you're communicating, you're agreeing, and you're not hiding anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the running joke, because total transparency, I was raised to hide the money in the tampon box. And
what? That's a first. I've never heard that.
Hide that good money in that tampon box. He'll never touch it. Look, now all the women are like, I cannot believe she said that. Look, because all the brothers running around the house.
Looking in the box.
Taking out the box.
That's a first. I never heard
that.
Sorry,
ladies. I did not mean to put you on blast. I'm sorry. He knows. Now, this I will say, but here again, it's not a secret. He knows that I have cash that I keep on hand somewhere. He doesn't know how much it is though, but it's not a secret. He knows that I have it there. So if for some reason it could be begging me $20, I got it. I got it. It's because why we're always so even in that though, it's no secret, because if he said, babe, how much money you got stashed, I'm gonna tell him.
Right.
Yeah,
so these are the basics. These are the basics.
People don't want to have the conversations though. They're so, and here's my thing, and then we can move on.
Yeah, sure.
This is my clinical hack, Corinne. If you are with someone that you do not trust to have these types of intimate conversations with, why are you with them?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you in a relationship where, as my mom used to say, you can't trust somebody down the street and around the corner with the financial information? That's a problem. And that's one of those things that people end up in my office for.
That's a whole nother show.
If you have to hide everything and you can't have those open, honest, transparent conversations, I'm sorry. I told you before the show that stuff comes to me. I got to touch on this because it just dropped in my spirit too. It is not okay, Corinne. It is not okay to be in a committed relationship and someone pass away and you find out that your financial house is wrecked. Wrecked. I cannot tell you how many family members and friends and clients that horror story is their life story around finances, where they were led to believe one thing and then somebody dies. And with COVID, that's happening a lot. Folk, look, you thought you had life insurance, you didn't. You thought that the house was paid for, it's not. You thought that the car, you thought there was this, and all hell's breaking loose. Folk are losing houses and cars and their minds, Corinne, because of dishonesty around finances. And I literally mean it when I say people have lost their mind. I have had to send some folks to inpatient because they literally had nervous breakdowns when stuff hit the fan, and they became aware that what they thought it was financially is not what it was. That is not okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Okay. So let's get into this conversation.
Yes.
What does it mean to redefine a scholar athlete? Well, I'm going to tell you what it means within the athletic and the academic sense, and then Corinne is going to chime on in. So when I say redefining the scholar athlete and their credit worthiness, typically when we talk about redefining the scholar athlete, we talk about the fact that throughout the sports world, that particularly with high school and college athletes, an exorbitant amount, if not the primary amount of focus is placed upon their athletic performance. And what we're saying is that life after sports is not guaranteed to continue the athletic career. So there needs to be a redefining of the scholar athlete. Hello, it's not athlete scholar, it's scholar athlete. So the scholarly part of the identity actually comes first, but society puts all of the emphasis on the athlete part of the identity. And what we're saying is we need to redefine that. We need people to understand that scholarly works, academic performance is a necessity that every scholar athlete, and truth be told, even professional athletes, because a lot of these young men drop, and women leave school to enter the various drafts and don't finish school. But then what? What do you have after your athletic career concludes? Do you have the skill set, the academic knowledge? Because here's the thing, you don't have to go to college to develop skills, but knowledge is knowledge, right? Whether you're gaining that knowledge from a classroom or you're gaining that knowledge from an advisor, an analyst, or whomever, knowledge is knowledge. So there has to be an emphasis placed upon the scholarly, regardless of where that scholarly knowledge comes from, the scholarly part of redefining athletes. Now, when we say redefining their credit worthiness, Corinne's going to get into that in just a moment. But again, I kid you not, Corinne, every article that I read, unless it's an article on financial literacy, which is not a lot of them out there, not for athletes anyway, the emphasis is on athletic, and oh yeah, some scholarly stuff. Right. No conversation about financial literacy within the scholarly part of their identity. And then folk wonder why they broke, busted, disgusted. Folk wonder why they don't have a pot or a window. It's like, it was either last week or the week before. Statistics show, Corinne, that 74, I believe it was 74 or 75% of athletes are living below the poverty level when they're in college. And look, and nobody thinks it's important to have conversation around money. Isn't that why they're going to college and having hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the league in the first place? So why you want to wait until after the fact to have a conversation about money? These conversations need to be going on now. Yeah. But they're not. So within this context of redefining our scholar athletes and really looking at credit worthiness, and truth be told, everybody needs financial literacy. Corinne, how is credit worthiness even determined? What is it?
Credit worthiness basically is a measure of how well you manage your debts, like how well you are able to, you can't just, I guess back in the day, and you went to the little store, in the 1800s or whatever, you bought something, and then they kept seeing you come back and forth, and you kept paying your stuff. And then who didn't, they couldn't get any more sugar or whatever. So now there's a formula and a system and a resources to help do that, so people can extend credit based on these different factors, whether that be your FICO score or your Vantage score, or how they're going to assess you and how you manage your debts, because it's all computerized now.
Corinne, you just said three powerful things. I will tell you that I was blown away. And then this was a few years ago. I was living in Florida at the time, had come home for a visit. I don't even know what was going on, but we were having a conversation around money. And I had, right before I had left to come home for a visit, I had attended a financial seminar. And I asked some relatives that were at this family gathering if they were aware of what their FICO score was and if they checked their credit reports. Corinne, I almost passed out when I learned, and I'm talking grown folk that have been grown for a long time, that not only didn't know what a FICO score was, didn't know what their scores were, didn't know what the credit bureaus were or anything. And Corinne, here's the mind-blowing part. I tell folk all the time, I'm from a family of homeowners, right? And I'm like, how do you have a house and a car and credit cards and you don't understand this language? But they just don't. Somebody said, go get you a credit card. They applied. Look, they filled out the application.
Well, when did anybody culturally, say that was something we needed to talk about?
Real talk. That's real. And I was just, my ignorance, my naivete said, oh, they have a house, they have a car, they're doing these things. Clearly they must know. Girl, they was just getting stuff. They was just getting stuff, didn't know how they got it, didn't know how they could lose it.
Yeah, that's my story. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, it was just, it was just mind-blowing to me. But you just nailed it. You know, there is a cultural disconnect. And I think about growing up in Salem, New Jersey, and particularly now, I mean, there is just such an elevated level of poverty that exists in my hometown. When I was a kid growing up, Salem was thriving. We were a port town, and factories and literally just thriving. That is so not the case today. And you hear there's always so much chatter. People that don't have money, that's all they talk about, right? Is money, 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 money. But there's a lack of awareness as to, okay, so say you hit the Powerball. Now what? I always think, every time I think about the big lottery pots, I think about the young lady, God bless her. I think about the young lady, she was in North Carolina somewhere. Remember, it was probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago where the Powerball was up to billions. It was up.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the young lady down in North Carolina hit, and I wanted to crawl under the couch and just hide, because my thought was, can somebody embrace this young woman and educate her? She had paid this exorbitant amount of money to get the boyfriend out of jail.
Oh, yeah. Iyanla did a thing on her.
Yeah. I mean, this exorbitant amount, like, it was crazy.
Then he went back.
Those types of things. But even for somebody that, doesn't have that, if you got your 3 wishes and it's like, boom, you're rich tomorrow, how long you gonna stay rich?
Right.
I've seen people, win lawsuits, and I'm talking mad loot. Mad loot, Corinne. Loot, not money, mad loot. And be broke in a year and a half.
By Friday.
I look, and I'm like, what did you buy? How did you blow through all that money in a year? What the heck? Where did it go? What did you do?
Yeah, it's all mindset. I just had a client yesterday. I don't know, but long story short, she asked me for consultation about whether she should buy a car. She has a car. She wants to buy a house next year. And she wants to buy another car, $12,000. And her reasoning was because she likes to have 2 cars in case one breaks down, and she could switch back and forth for the mileage and da-da-da-da. But I was like, that's not going to help your credit, adding a car to your portfolio for a short period of time and paying it off quickly. The scenario she was giving me, just fast forwarding, it's not going to help that. Then you're going to close it. That's going to hurt, your credit when you try to buy this house next year. And then it's $12,000. That money's not making any money in that car. You don't use the car, and it's not making any money.
Right?
Say again.
I said, as soon as you drive off the lot, it
Yeah,
depreciates.
so you put $12,000. That's exactly what I said. You put $12,000 in it. You drive off, it's 8,000. If I was you, I'd be investing that money somewhere, saving it somewhere else, and then when you get ready to purchase the house, you have a down payment, or you have a stash, or you have something. But going into the athlete part, it's the mentality, and so the mentality is not passed down through pathology. So where you don't even know the question to ask about finance when you don't know about finance, when it's inherent in other cultures. Like, this is just what they talk about. This is what you do. You're gonna have a job, got a bank account, you're gonna inherit our legacy or our family business, so you better be ready even if you don't want it.
Right. Can you explain, you touched on FICO, you touched on Vantage Score. Can you provide our listener and viewing audience some clarity on that? Because folks don't know. Folks don't know. What look, you were
I
just speaking
cannot
Mandarin.
wait. So everybody, so if you're looking on Credit Karma, Credit Wise, Credit Sesame, anything like that, you are looking at your Vantage Score. And a Vantage Score was born in like 2006. There are credit scoring models. There's plenty of them. There's LexisNexis, FICO, and people are putting all these terms together. They don't go together. It's like saying you have a Toyota Nissan. That's not, those that don't go together.
What?
Saying your FICO is your credit score is not. It's the type of credit score you have, like the type of car you have. And your Vantage Score has about 6 different factors in it, 6 different parts of a pie. Think about it. And your FICO score only has 5. So if you put Corinne through a filter, and that filter has 6 determining factors, I'm going to come out with a number. And if you put me through the one with 5, I'm going to come out with a different number. And that's what you need to know. Then you need to know who's using what. So if you want a credit card, do your Vantage Score all day. Go to Credit Karma, Credit Wise, Credit Sesame, do your Vantage Score. But if you want a house, solar panels, a Maserati, a car, you need to check your FICO score out and get that feedback and know what you're looking at.
So when you say find out, can you clarify that for our audience? Like, how would they know? Is that just as simple as asking whoever it is they're trying to purchase something from, how that assessment is going to be evaluated, or how do they find that information out?
It's really interesting to have to. Okay, so we as consumers, we are looking at our scores on these apps that they're furnishing in us. Equifax, Credit Wise, Identity IQ, My Score, Privacy Card. They're selling that to us. That's okay. It's just you need to know what you're looking at. So let's just take one. We're going to look at Experian.
Okay.
Experian, I believe, does a FICO, but within FICO, there's different types of FICO. So let's say that Experian does a FICO 8. You go get a house, they're looking at your FICO 2 or your 4 or your FICO 5.
Okay.
So no matter what you're looking at, so even if you got feedback from going to get a house and they gave you your credit score from the house, and then you went to get a car and you go, I'm gonna carry these FICO scores from my house over to the car, they're not relevant because they're judging different things to go get that. So I like for people to pay attention to their credit health. Get off the number. The number is just feedback. All right. You're trying to lose weight. Focus on your goal to lose weight and have fun and enjoy it and what you're eating and what you're pouring in. And then look at the scale and go, oh, great feedback. Same thing with credit.
Well, that's good. That's good. I like that.
There's so many different places to go. There's 70 different formulas for credit. It depends who you're asking, what you're trying to buy. I have a real estate broker who's a client. Everybody's a client. I've had basketball players. And he has a 760, 780 FICO 8, and he has a 640 FICO 245 because his tenant paid a house late. Same person, different numbers. So you got to get can't see that way, the depth, complexity of these scores. But you're paying attention to your health and how to keep it healthy and paying it on time and keeping your balance low. When I teach my classes, I ask people how they're conducting it or what they think they should be doing. I very rarely get the right answer. It's like, charge your cards up and pay them on Friday or pay them every day for 30 days. I'm like, whoa, get off of YouTube.
Videos.
Yeah. So just going back to the FICO and the Vantage,
Mm-hmm.
all of these, the basis of kind of keeping it simple
Mm-hmm.
is to focus on the health and then just see the
Okay.
results that you're getting back.
Okay. That's good stuff right there. Good stuff. So what about, so now that you have clarified that there are different scores and that they're calculated differently, how does one's credits, or what does one's credit score say about their credit worthiness? Does that all depend on what you're trying to get, or can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So going back to the example with the broker, with his 780, 760 FICO 8 score, he's saying his credit worthiness is articulating that, because I say all credit reports and credit analysis is telling a story. It's like a book. So
Right.
that story is saying you can have a credit card, you can have a car, you manage that very well. His 640, 245 for the home is saying, you're a little suspect on the house buying part.
Wow.
He actually wasn't trying to buy another house. He was trying to buy a $250,000 printer machine. And it's in, that's a high ticket item. So it's relative to like a house. And that thing, they did not want to give him credit for. It had all the assets, all the money,
Wow.
all of that. But that one little late payment on that high ticket item gave that level of feedback in terms of, who he is relative to his score. So depending on where you're going, you want to be seen. You have to have your story together for the industry that you're going on, which is why I like working with people, because we can tell, like, if you're purchasing a home, you shouldn't have a lot of inquiries. Whereas other
If
things,
you're purchasing a home, you shouldn't have a lot of what?
yeah, inquiries on your report.
Okay.
You shouldn't be looking for a lot of credit when you're getting, you're going to buy a house like within a year. Be doing that.
Okay.
And you shouldn't be waiting until the last minute to build credit. Like, relative to the athletes, they should not all of a sudden feel like, because I have money, I don't need to build credit right now.
So can you speak to that? What do people need to know about their credit? What are some nuts and bolts basic that people need to know about credit? Because that everybody talk about cash is king.
Yeah, let me give you the 5 quick and dirty factors of a credit score. And I'm gonna stick with FICO just because that's the one you need to care more about. In a nutshell, there's 5 areas. 35% of your FICO score is your payment history. And when I ask that quiz question in my classes, they say the most important part is something else. And I'm like, no, it's your payment history.
Wow.
And I know I've had times where I'm like, I'll pay that later. Not anymore, because now I know that late payment could be between me and my dreams. One late payment. I had a client lose a home deal over $4, a $4 late payment that he forgot about. So not worth it.
Oh my God.
About 25, 50, even 75 points for one late payment. Don't do it.
So I have a personal question for you,
sure.
but I'm sure I'm not the only person this happened to. A few months ago, I checked my, to your point, I stayed cognizant of what my credit health is. And a few months ago, I checked my scores, and I want to say it was my Equifax score. My Equifax score, Corinne, had dropped 100 points. And what was so crazy, there was no explanation for it. There was not, when I went in and looked at, when I kicked over all the rocks and boulders, it's like, everything's green. I'm paying everything on time. Matter of fact, had paid some stuff off, and like there was no logical explanation.
Oh, well, back up a minute. You said you paid something off.
That's what it was?
I'll do it.
So talk to that, because people, the mindset the mindset would be, well, I paid off my bills. Why did I get knocked in the head for paying something off? Isn't that showing responsibility?
It is credit. This is not the cash game. This is the credit game. Balling. Well, this is not the cash game. It's the credit game. Building wealth and building credit on this level is not necessarily parallel. So my personal story, I worked on my credit in 2019 because I had done some things. And went from a 589 to a 755 in 6 months with our company. We're awesome. And then the next year I started working on debt elimination, and I paid off my car and my student loans. My credit scores dropped 30 points.
Wow. From paying off the car and the student loans.
Right. Because I'd had 15 years worth of on-time payments and this longevity of credit, showing how credit worthy I am over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Drove that down. The other thing is, if you didn't close the card, let's say you paid a card off, but you kept it open. If it's a major credit card, you can lose 20 points for that too. They don't want it at 0. You need to keep it between 1 and 10%. They want to see you using it. They want something on it. Now, they want you to use it out of control, but you get more points by keeping a little something on it. You have to, when you pay off your credit card, I would leave, I have, you have a $7,000 card, I leave about $70 on it. Provided that the minimum payment was.
So you know what I did? Look, I'm people know I'm totally transparent. So what I do is I have it set to your point. I have it set up so that some of the smaller incidental business expenses are automatically charged to it every month. So it's constant. So literally, like, I could pay it off yesterday. I could pay it off in full on Friday, but more stuff is going to be charged to it on Monday and Tuesday because of how I have some of the smaller business expenses paid up. So is that good? Look, is that good? Did I do good?
It depends.
I'm okay being corrected on the air. Correct me.
It depends, only because the bottom line is you don't want the credit bureaus to catch you at 0. So if that rotation, and you don't want them to catch you at 90%. So as long as that rotation is rhythmic, and what I do is I just charge and pay. Charge and pay. I don't even care about my due date. Everything's on auto pay.
Yep.
I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, the other day, my $7,000 card was at 1024, and so I paid it $324. And then I don't care no more. And then I just did a bunch of stuff. I got my nails done because I'm going to Costa Rica, and
see how y'all do.
I know that's going to be. I know that ran something up somewhere, so I'm going to go find it and pay it, because I don't spend money over my limit that I don't have.
Right.
Not the limit. I'm sorry. Over my 10%. I don't spend over my 10% what I don't have.
Yeah. That's the thing, because you look at different stuff and it'll say, oh, don't go over 30%. But I do the same thing. I try to, I'm typically between 10 and 15%, but the same thing, I try to keep it right at the 10. And I'm like, I'm not playing, because, all of us, you went in the military, but I'm sure you got to go in the military too. Going to college, you get the freaking thing in the mail for the Discover card with $1,000 limit. You're like, wait, I ain't got a job. What are you giving me $1,000 credit card for? Because you just got played. It's a setup, stupid.
Oh, so let's do that. Let's go to that card you get in college. Talking about the scholar athlete. Went to Hampton University. First thing I got was something for $250.
Yeah.
Probably spent it in the first week, and spent 10 years paying that off.
Yep.
Minimum payments.
Yeah.
And what I tell folks now is that, bigger amounts, let's say you have $1,000 card. If you make $3,000 a month and you run up $1,000 card, you just spent $4,000 in that month. You don't make that.
Right.
You don't make $4,000. So you're extending your budget
on
this one-shot deal, and then you're paying it back over and over again with this high interest, and then it's never going to be paid off at the way you're paying it, which is what they want you to do. But nobody will tell you that. The majority of my clients are minorities, and their mindset that we have is that when I tell them 1 to 10%, because I have them guess, and they tell me 30, and they tell me 50, and they tell me as much as I want as long as I pay it off. And when I tell them 10% to keep it healthy, they go, well, what I got the card for?
Right. What I'm supposed to buy with that? Gas. Get you some gas. Get you some gas and a pack of meat.
Yeah, so it's just exactly. What am I supposed to buy with that? You ain't supposed to buy nothing with it. You don't got the cash for it. You can't afford it.
Cussing.
You can't afford it.
Like you cussing at them. They're like, what do you mean? I can't buy nothing.
Yeah, if I could just get that through. But I got it through to myself because I was, 90% pay down 250, run it up 100, pay down 300, run it up that right at the top, right at the brim.
Yeah.
In this process that I did, I put myself in our own program after I started working here because I was like, this is crazy. I can't be working here with a 500.
Crazy. Can't be working there broke.
Now, mind you, my story is I found a piece of paper at my dad's house. It had 780, 760 on it from 2000 something to something. I have no idea why I had that credit score. And I had no idea how I lost it. And I had no idea how to get it back. That's why this credit education for our kids, athletes, everybody is important because we don't know how to play in the game. Didn't know how to get it back. Since I started working on my credit in 2019, I went from $8,000 credit to $70,000 credit. But the beautiful part is the mentality changed. So none of that is even close to being ran up. Every time it looked like it want to go above 4,000, I'm like,
anybody falling for that?
Yeah. And the powerful thing about that is I'm a powerful manifester. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in gratitude. Yes. And the more that I did that, when I was initially working on improving my credit, at first my income was lower and I would just play with it. I would send $5. I would go in my app and see what the interest was and I would send that. I'd have extra money, I'd divide it and then do that. And I think the universe was like, oh, she wants to play. So midway in my process, I received a check for $7,000, $7,200 to be exact.
Wow.
So on top of the practicality of credit, I like to teach my clients about the energy of credit, the energy of money, because it's like, you will be an athlete. The athlete that I counseled one time, he was afraid of money and losing it because he watched his peers. He said, I got a friend with a Bugatti and a 500 credit score.
Look, and because of that fear, he didn't even realize that he was because he didn't see money as energy. He was repelling it away from him and didn't even realize it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and was still making a good living. Went in the back room and pulled out a stack of money and showed it to me. He had $20,000 just sitting in the house in an apartment. Was afraid to spend it, and I was coaching him on improving his credit, which was going to take $4,500. I said $4,500 would take him down to 10%, and then we would do this. I gave him a strategy plan. He did not want to spend that $4,500 out of that $20,000 and was making $250,000 a year at his situation, his new situation. He wasn't his brand thing, whatever he was doing was $250. He had the money coming in. He was just terrified.
Terrified of being
absolutely terrified. I just felt for him.
Wow.
Not the money, just the mental. Ooh.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's people. We've talked on a number of shows about poverty first being a mindset before the manifestation of it. In your life. And to that point, one of the things that I was hoping that you could speak to is for those scholar athletes who don't get a full ride athletic scholarship, how important is credit worthiness to their ability to obtain a student loan to cover remaining costs? What, and even if student loans isn't your thing, can you give some pointers or some insight as to how because folk think that everybody getting a full ride, everybody not getting a full ride.
So student loans are interesting. Parents do it. I don't think it's a good idea always. I'll just give my personal opinions on them co-signing for them, because normally a kid can get it. It's not that important for a kid to get a student loan. They can get the student loan without the credit. It's what it does to their credit after they get it, because they don't understand how to manage it.
Yeah.
So they can get the student loan without the credit. It's just the payback and the, you know what I'm saying? So, and what it does,
student loans going in default and everything else, because everybody's not going to the league.
Now,
eventually that money's going to have to be paid back.
I would start with, do not get, you got a pen, write this down. Do not get what you do not need. This is your money. You are paying it back with interest, with a small amount of interest relative to a credit card, but you're paying it back. Nobody told me that. So when my daughter went to school, I was like, if your books, if they say they're gonna give you $4,500, but all you really need is 25, then just take the 25.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
You
loan,
know what folk are
not free
doing?
money.
They take out the maximum they can get because they want that refund check at the end of the semester, and then they go out and go crazy and spend up all that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And forgetting that you're going to have to pay it back.
You're going to have to pay it back. So getting the loan and, applying for a Stafford or whatever you get, I got mine. Mm-hmm. I think one of the types of loans my dad did pay on, but that's a relationship issue. Like growing up and making poor credit decisions and money decisions.
Yeah.
One thing I did, because I love my daddy and he's my best friend, I paid that student loan, or I put it on default. Yeah. My student loans have never been negative because my father was affected by it. My car got repossessed, but my student loans, I was like, we're going to figure that out. Yeah. And communication, daddy, hey, this is going on. This could affect you. So I would say the understanding the contract, whether it's student loan or getting a car. My daughter got a car when she joined the military at 20, and she has a different experience with her next car because she was like, that was whack. So it's just having these conversations about understanding contracts that we're not having with our children, so that they know, just don't do what the internet says about getting us. Oh, well, you can use the internet as a good resource, but you need to do your homework.
Yeah.
And so the repercussions of not taking care of your student loans after you got all this money that you don't need necessarily is that you have to pay it back. I have clients with $200,000, $100,000 worth of student loans. And what's peculiar to me as an entrepreneur and a veteran and is they make $50,000 a year. So, and you have $100,000 education.
Do the math.
So when my daughter, who's 21, came to me a year or two ago and said that she went to a school, she got a $30,000 scholarship, school in Texas, and it was $38,000, so it was $8,000 out of my pocket. And so I was like, okay, I got that. We can do that. Well, I mean, when she was ready to, at the end of the semester, she said, it's not worth it. It's not worth the return on the investment. She just went on. And I was like, oh. You might want to be like, oh, just stay. I said, I could do the 8,000. She was like, no, with a $30,000 scholarship, because she would have had to do 4 years. That's $160,000, and you need a master's degree in the particular athletic training. That's what she was saying.
Yeah. Okay.
You basically do the research, need a master's degree in order to do that, just to make $60,000. So she started doing them. She's real smart. She was like $200,000. Make $60,000 unless she goes pro. And she was like, that don't make no sense. Math don't make no sense, mommy. I'm like, okay. But I'm glad she went to determine that. And she literally has $5,000 worth of student loans to pay off instead of 100. Now let's fast forward to, you went to school, you took out all these student loans you didn't need. Now you got to pay them back. This is real money that has to be paid back. People are waiting for Biden to forgive the such and such and the so-and-so, but what if he don't? And a lot of that forgiving is about the schools that are not accredited or went out of business or did, don't exist. You can't get your degree. It's just not necessarily everybody. And so you have $100,000 loan. A portion of that is going to count against you purchasing a home or have other conditions for other goals you have. And I know kids' brains ain't developed to think that far in advance, but we can help them. They're not going to get no basketball scholarship thinking about, I'm buy a home,
Yeah, and that's, I can relate to that because I have an exorbitant amount of student loan debt, not because I took out more than what I need, but because I've got a darn doctoral degree. And oh, by the way, I got my master's and my doctorate from the same school that is extremely expensive. So, I tell people, I said, I have every degree that you can have, and I have the student loan debt for it. Because I, right out of high school, I was blessed and fortunate to have the academic scholarships that would have taken care of everything, but I got pregnant and they're in it. So one of the consequences of that was I then had to pay for all of this education. And, I think that it's important for people to know that defaulting on a student loan, and thank God it's not a part of my story, but I do know plenty of people who have, and you might as well have a home foreclosed on because then you default on a student loan, it's over. It's a wrap. And
You
it's there.
can't ask them. You can't ask the government for money when you owe the money.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got to fix that. There's easy ways
Yeah.
to fix it.
Yeah. There's
But
so
it's the
many ways to not
mentality.
default. That's
Yeah.
what blows my mind. It's like there's so many ways to not
Oh
default
yeah.
on a loan. Why is your student loan in default?
Yeah.
Lack of education.
Yeah. Well, lack of education and getting in default and
Yeah.
not realizing that there's something to do and then the getting out of it. I've
Yeah.
people to get out of it and they've had to like pay $5 for 9 months.
Yeah.
And they've been avoiding it all this time and did not know that's all they had to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's mind blowing. It is absolutely.
Oh, and so to your point of your question is the
Mhm.
credit worthiness associated with your student loans is
Mhm.
immense. Like you can be pop locking on your credit with everything else. And clients we have with student loans in default, even though everything else looks beautiful, or we get everything to beautiful and get stuff off and build you some positive accounts and do all these things,
Mhm.
that student loan is like a cloud. It dampers all the other positivity that's going on with your credit worthiness because of that one account. So, and I hear people always say, but I'm paying my car on time, but I'm da 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 da. You might as well just put a cloud over your house and tear off the roof if that's going on. So let's just not go there in the first place. We've had a client who we worked on her stuff. She worked on getting her loans out of default. It didn't look good. It was like, But as soon as her loans came out of default on the rehab, she bought a house the next month. That's how poignant loan negativity is. As soon as it was gone, because she got her loans to another provider after the 6 months, she was able to purchase. But when it was happening, it was just like,
just hanging in there, just calling all kinds of problems.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
No. So you said something else too, and we talk about it all the time. We talked about the lack of knowledge and just, let's call it what it is, the blatant financial ignorance, the financial illiteracy that exists in our communities that is clearly we know that it's not everybody, but it's a lot, right? It is a lot in Black and Brown communities all across the nation. And I'm wondering what insight you can provide, particularly for those scholar athletes that are heading off to college, within the context of building and sustaining excellent credit. What strategies could be offered to their parents or caregivers and them so that they don't find themselves in this credit rut within the first year of college?
I'm about to take off. Oh my God. You just hitting all my buttons. Just love legacy, talking about money and legacy. So my teammate and I, she birthed this concept called the Healthy Credit Club. And we were doing these talks and I had to do some research on credit and culture on Black History Month. And I found out that during that research that there's a 256-year wealth gap between Blacks and whites. 256. And then at that point, I made it my personal mission that we're going to fix that.
Wait, 256
years.
That's what I thought you said. Years.
256 years behind the power curve, okay, in terms of us developing wealth. So as it pertains to legacy, I'm taking on a personal mission to have that gap close year by year, bigger and bigger, right? With education. One of the things that I'm doing, I'm not talking about this, I'm doing it, is I have improved my own credit. Prove your own education first before you start talking to your kids.
Nice.
We talked earlier, like they emulate what they see. I've been talking about being a strong Black woman all my life, and they're not acting. They don't see that. So now that my credit is healthy and the way I'm managing it, I put my 20-year-old on one of my cards because it's healthy. And her credit scores went from a 5-something to a 680-ish. And then we were able to, with that improved score, apply for a card for her. And then she got a card and she went to the 700s. Little small $300 card, right? But we started talking about it and I told her how to use it. She said, okay, mommy, so I'm going to go buy groceries and then I spent $120 on groceries a month. So I could put that on here and then I could put it back, right? Like, yeah, but then just pay it down to the $30. Okay. So she didn't get that perfect, but at least there's a process. Her scores have been going 680, 700, 680, 600, whatever. But there's a conversation going on.
Yeah.
And there's a
Yeah.
practicality going on that she's learning from, even from the mistakes she can see. So I would say start with that. Find your oldest card. And my father did it for me. So I'm on my father's oldest card. It's 34 years old. Just learning at 49 and rebuilding. And so he's helping me. You want to really help. Do that as opposed to co-signing for something.
See,
don't co-sign. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say I don't co-sign. I'm allergic to it, but I did exactly what you said and what your father said. So I put my son on one of my credit cards. It is my oldest card, and it's like, you know what? You don't have to wear it because I ain't playing around.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you're not in a place to help him.
Yeah, been there, done that. We ain't messing it up no more. Moving forward, and it helps him to stay,
right,
on track. And it's like you said, he didn't always get it perfect. Thank God, he's a lot more financially literate now than he has ever been, and it has been a very, 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 very long time since I've said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like I haven't had to say that in years. Years. I haven't had to say for real that, "What are you doing?" Haven't had to do that. So,
but this act between us, what we're doing with our kids, is the impetus. Is the starting point for a transformation in our culture, so that we can do this. It's not going to go from here to there, and everybody understand that. You just got to start somewhere with this education. So that's the first thing I would say to get them ready to go to college, is to start early. If we're already there and we're walking out the door, have a conversation. They're going out the door. You're telling them about sex, and you're telling them about strangers, and you're telling them about safety on the internet before they go to college. But you're not saying, hey, when they bring you that application for that $250 MasterCard, holla at me. Not that you can't get it, but call me so I can show you how to use it. Or let's call correct.
You nailed it.
I'm here. And mind you, tell your people I'm here. Send your babies to me. I will do a free coaching or something to get them ready to go as part of their health package to go where they're going. You get this card, we can get the card together, and I'll tell them how to use it, and they can write little notes and buy your little Gatorades on this, and then
your oodles and noodles.
Get your oodles and noodles together.
Gotta have that top ramen. Gotta have the top ramen.
You gotta put cheese on it.
Yes.
Have a gourmet meal.
You said something else. See, all this wealth of knowledge. So how important is budgeting? You got these kids that you're getting ready, and the other point that I just wanted to piggyback, and you said it, I just wanted to reiterate that I think that a large part of why this doesn't happen the way that it should is because the parents and caregivers don't know. Nobody told them. It's like this generational curse of financial illiteracy, and folk don't know, and you can't teach what you don't know, so nobody is saying anything. So I just wanted to reaffirm what you said about that. But how important is budgeting in all of this?
So one thing about the don't know too is also, I'm smart. My dad knows I'm smart. My father has an 834 credit score. He didn't really communicate specifically.
Okay.
So even though he was doing something, and he might not have known what he was doing either. But I think in addition to not knowing is just not having an intention to communicate. When he made assumptions that I knew certain things.
Oh, okay.
I don't make no assumptions with my kids. I'm not overbearing, but I just put it in front of them, and I'm like, hang it on the wall, put a Post-it on it, and it'll be there when mommy said that 2 years ago. I don't care, but I'm gonna hear it and see it. So that's one thing. But budgeting, once again, I start that early.
Okay.
Because, I got to think about, what to do. I mean, I guess it's never too late to start. And so my kids were taught.
How do you budget?
My kids were taught at a young age, birthday money. Got $100. $50 goes in savings, and $50 you go play with, just having a mindset that it all doesn't have to be blown. Now, it didn't work with both of them. The other one's just coming around, the middle one. But, same thing with the little one now. She just this weekend, she said, we brought her a backpack. I said, I'm gonna buy you a pocketbook. I said, what are you doing with your money? Talking to an 8-year-old. And like, I said, do you have money? She said, yeah, in my piggy bank. I said, but where's the money that you spend? See, we're just talking to them about desperation and saving for a rainy day and da-da-da. No, you gotta talk to these kids about abundance. So I gave her some money, put it in her bag, and when we went to the store, I'm like, grab your pocketbook, so whatever. And then we got in there, she found something for 95 cents, and I said, hey, she's really good at math, and I said, do you have enough money for this? And she was like, yeah. And she counted her change, but now she knows, or is exposed to the fact that her piggy bank money and her spend money are two different things. Step one. I literally have a sticker here on my desk that has the percentages of what goes where. Expenses, emergency, investment, and funds. So for her right now, we just got two things. I started out with a 50-50 savings and then cash. And so maybe when a kid goes to college, you're saying, I'm going to send you blase amount of money per month. If I was you, I'd put this here, and keep a little stash in your, like, take $10 of it out and own it and do something with it. You know what I mean? So you got to just, there's no perfect formula. You just got to have a plan. And the plan can't be, he'll figure it out when he gets there. And then you want to know why 4 years, 8 years later, you're still doing this with them.
Right. And that's, so when Andre was, actually we started with, it was 5, and to your point, I did 3 jars. I did his spending jar, his savings jar, and his tithing jar. I told him, that, I mean, that was just how he was raised, the benefits of tithing. So he did that. And it's like, now, that responsibility is there. And it's like you said, it's not perfect. We've all had times where we messed it up, but conceptually, the knowledge is there. Now, what you do with that knowledge at almost 33 years old is up to you. It's up to you, but you were taught. And I think that it's so many of these kids aren't being taught. And why? Because their parents don't even know how to budget.
Get a piece of paper and write it down. They're going to study, so give them something else to study. Write on a piece of paper, this is how the breakdown is for the money. This is what this is for. This is what that is for. And I'm trying to go from what to do to prepare if you haven't had one, and what to do if it's too late and they're walking out the door in September. And if it's September, then I would send them with a plan. You're spending your time, in the regular community, going to buy the stuff to go in the room and to decorate and all of that preparation and emergency this, and their phones are all together and their boards and their Wi-Fi, and nobody's going to say, here's how you handle the money, other than just getting Cash App from me.
Right. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, everything else. They find all types of unique ways to get your money, don't they?
I remember my daughter called me from college in Texas and was like, Mommy, the cafeteria closed and I'm hungry. Can you Cash App me $7.28? And I was like, not $5, not $10, but $7.28. And I was like, okay, baby.
Look, you good, because when Dre was in college, he would just call and be like, Mom, can you order me a pizza and have it delivered to my room? He stayed, Mom, can you, or better yet, I would talk to one of his grandmoms on the phone. They'd be like, yeah, Dre called me and asked me, could I get him such and such and such and such? Seriously? But that, they get real creative. They get real creative when it's like, how many different ways can I get mommy's money?
Something you just made me think about that I think is important in the cycle of abundance. So there's budgeting, and budgeting is also mostly focused on spending or how much money you make, but you also brought to the table receiving. And giving, tithing, but you also get to bring to the table receiving when it comes to the cycle of abundance and budget and credit and all this stuff coming full circle. And I've been battling with my children about asking. So most of my friends with boy children, like, they ask. My girl children, I cannot get them to feel worthy enough to ask for support and be able to receive it. So they're not. There's a balance between that. I love that your son's like, Nana, give me a pizza. Da, da, da. And literally, I had a tribe. My mom was sending hair products to do hair, and I was sending this, and I was like, we got you. And she's like, no, I got to do it myself, and I got to get a job, and I got to do this and pay for this. And I'm like, we will support you. Like, I'm begging them to be supported. So there's a full circle of but the wealth conversation, the
Mhm.
abundance conversation to be had with your child, on top of credit, on top of
Mhm.
budgeting, on top of spending. It's just
Mhm.
also, how can you receive?
Let's spend a minute longer there, because I think that it is so important. And I will tell you, Corinne, that was an area of opportunity for me for a long time. And I think that it goes to a cultural narrative where asking is perceived as weakness, or somehow you've been inadequate, or you're needy or parasitic, or whatever the case may be. And I kid you not, I got to a place in space in my life because of trauma and things of that nature, and people's response to me needing help, where I stopped asking because I was made to feel awful. I was made to feel inadequate. I was condemned and lectured and all of it, I mean, and folk were going in for the kill, Corinne.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remember I shared with you before we went live that, that I had been previously married and had just major issues that, things that were going on in the marriage adversely affected my financial well-being, right? And I'm saying, can you help me with this because of X, Y, and Z? And I'm getting, you should have never married him in the first place, and you didn't marry you to him, and that God didn't marry you to him. Well, who wants to ask? Who wants to ask if, you know, you were in this place of need,
Mm-hmm.
genuine and sincere need, and the folk that you think that you can count on, and the folk that you believe that you can trust, that care enough about you to help you, are
Mm-hmm.
just verbally assassinating you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is a stigma that is in, and I'm sure all families or people deal with it in some capacity, but I know particularly among our folks, it's like, you even hear the comedians talking about it. Steve Harvey would say that, if such and such calls him and he haven't heard from him in a while, he know they want some money. So he'll wait 2 weeks before he calls them back. And by then, whatever it was they needed will have been figured out. So I say all that to say that you're absolutely right. It takes humility to
Mm-hmm.
be able to say that, can you help me because of X, Y, or Z? And here's what, because I do 100 success and abundant aspirations every single solitary day, several times a day, just to keep myself accountable for that mindset that you're talking about. And one of the things that I say when I'm doing my affirmations is that I am worthy to be wealthy. I
Mm-hmm.
am I am worthy to receive, and I am worthy to receive in part because I am totally okay blessing other people, and blessing other people abundantly, Corinne. It's like recognizing that, for me, it's biblical principle that it's better to give than to receive. But oh, by the way, as you give, so it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men heap into your bosom. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a wealthy mindset. It's
Mm-hmm.
a wealthy mindset that says, I am worthy. I am worthy to receive gifts and blessings and abundance,
Enjoy.
and maintain, yeah, and maintaining without guilt that wealthy mindset. It's not about greed, it's not about materialism or anything like that. It's that, why do I have to be impoverished? Why do I have to be impoverished to show you that I love God? Why
Mm-hmm.
do I have to be impoverished to show you that I don't think I'm better than you? Why do I have to be impoverished to be considered a good, decent, respect? But when you think culturally,
Yeah.
it might not have been your experience, but certainly I am sure people who that was their experience, right? I look at the gentleman that you're working with, that you got $20,000 and you don't want to spend 4,500 because you're scared to death
Mm-hmm.
of being broke. That is tragic. But
Yeah.
it is a tragedy that plagues our communities, and people feel guilty. They feel guilty about having money and wanting money and spending money. And what I I just got to a point where I would say to people, so you like not having enough to pay your bills and enough overflow and increase to be a blessing to somebody else?
Mhm.
Look, so you don't want to take me to dinner for my birthday?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Like our people want to be wealthy, but then they hate the wealthy. And it's just like, what the?
You're repelling it. You don't even realize that, because what do? We distort for those that read the Bible, you distort the word of God, and you treat money like it's dirty and it's
Mhm.
disgusting and it's somehow vile. And it's like, no, I love you.
Yeah. And
I
it's
love
something
you.
that
You
you
are
said
good
at
to
the top
me.
of the show that
Mhm.
I had written down that thought. I wrote down the stigma of it all. And really in
Mhm.
this abundance conversation, in this credit
Yeah.
conversation, this wealth conversation, I've gained more by shifting my mentality and my relationship with money.
Yeah.
Letting it be my friend,
Yeah.
doing things for the joy. This thing right here, this credit journey of
Yeah.
education, I have reaped so many benefits. I just recently did a talk for sorority. I did a webinar for them. I had
Mhm.
a blast and was just having fun, and I stretched myself. I want to do a TED talk. So I was just playing like I was doing a little TED talk on the thing. They
Yeah.
sent me a check. I wasn't expecting a check, but I was just giving it
Wow.
away. I was giving it
Yeah.
away. I was pouring it out. I was having a
Yeah.
blast. I wasn't thinking, and they're gonna love me, like they're gonna, it's just like you have to change that mentality. And a lot
Yeah.
of us feel like, and that going back to the athletes, like it's all about the money. It's lost about the joy and the fun and the give
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
um Paye's mom, like his aspirations to get back to his mom probably got him there more than
Yeah.
worrying about trying to get the money, and the money
Right.
came. That
Like,
that's
what was the motivation? Right. Right.
and the money came, and the money will
Yeah.
come. Press down, shake it together, run it over. The more I
Girl,
give
say it.
myself away, the more I've been, and I didn't know that before. I was working hard and I was making six figures and I was getting education and I was grinding. But the more I've been giving myself away and playing and having joy and being, just being focused, and I'm not
Yeah.
all over
Yeah.
the place. I'm an Aries and I have all these different jobs.
Mhm.
The more I've been focused, the more every time I open the mailbox, I'm like,
You're a
oh,
magnet.
and another one, and another one.
Look, right? I love that commercial.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
So
People,
that I wish that we could have these courses in uh freshman studies. I remember my freshman studies,
yes.
they talked about how to budget a checkbook and a couple of other little things, but it wasn't anything poignant, and it wasn't in a thing that I found fun. I don't even
Right.
remember half of it. But definitely before then, I found a little stack of cards
Mm-hmm.
that introduced terms to my 8-year-old. What is
Yeah.
the credit
Yeah.
score? What is a checkbook?
Mm-hmm.
What is money? And
Yeah.
little black kids on it, and on the other opposite side, it explains to her
Mm-hmm.
just that small amount of narrative. So uh it's not even
Reconditioning the mind.
yeah, it's not even a new
Reconditioning the
thing.
mind.
As much as she can say LOL doll, she can say credit score, like
Girl,
she,
you better say it. It's the
oh, that's
truth.
what I was saying, the stigma, just separating.
Yeah.
I am a life coach, so I
Mhm.
get your clients when you're done with them, then they come to me
Look,
later.
right.
And one of the tools that I use is, you're telling a story that doesn't work for you, so you get to tell us a better story, but just be playful with your story.
Yeah.
Make money air. I remember I told myself, I want to feel about money the way I feel about air. I do not argue with God about, oh, if I breathe this air, then Dr. Pitts ain't gonna have none, and I don't, whatever my relationship is with air, I want my relationship to be like that with money.
Yes.
I don't even want it to be whoever made it up that this was something special, other than I'm always attracting clothes. I love fashion, and clothes fall out of
Mhm.
the air for me because I don't have any attachment to them. I get them, I give them away, I let them come in, I fly, and then I get another fly
Girl,
outfit.
I'm the
Uh,
queen of
uh,
giving bags of clothes away.
yeah.
Erica said, how many pair of shoes you didn't even wear those shoes? You give them away. Well, I decided I didn't.
Yeah. So I just want that to be, money. And this thing, I
Yeah.
was like, I want to feel like
What's up?
in, it's out, it's in, it's out. I call it abundance flow. That's another thing, just
That's
having a
it.
different context of you just get to make it up for yourself. It just gets to
Yeah.
feel good and it gets to be fun.
Yep.
And when you get to the league or whatever, this college or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're doing what you love, just keep having fun. I was telling Carla the other day, looking at Stefan, he's still having fun. He can pop locking and doing all kinds of stuff. He's having
It's
a
all about, you know what, it's funny you say
blast.
that, because I used to say all the time, I love all sports, but if you cut me, I'm bleeding football. I love football and I love my Dallas Cowboys, and everybody know that about me, right? But I remember back when Cam Newton was still with the Carolina Panthers and they had gone to the Super Bowl. We're playing against the Denver Broncos, and it was going to be Peyton Manning's last season. He was going out. He was playing to go. He was going out on top. And after that, Cam was different. And I said, it's not fun for him anymore. He never bounced back from losing that Super Bowl. He was never, ever, ever the same again. And people don't understand how important laughter and fun is. And I tell you, clearly because this was a process, right? There were times in my life when I would be angry or stressed out or whatever about finances. And it's like, even now, well, not even now, because I'm not like that anymore, because I know better now. But it's like, I tell you, Corinne, I don't care whether I'm going to McDonald's and grabbing some hot fries, or I'm hooked. I love Tropicana Twist, the Tropicana Twisters. It doesn't make a difference what it is. I kid you not. Every time I spend money, no matter how small or great it is, I just say, Lord, I thank you. I thank you. Like, I pay my bills with a smile on my face, because I know what it's like to not be able to pay them. Been there, done that. And it's like, that's just not my story anymore. So I am that attitude of gratitude and thanksgiving and the abundance. And like you said, knowing that I deserve all of the goodness and all of the greatness that the universe has for me. Every single solitary ounce of it, I deserve all of the goodness that the universe has for me. And that doesn't make me grandiose. It doesn't make me self-absorbed or anything like that. I'm humble about it, but it's like, thank you. Thank you. Like you said, you go into the mailbox or you pick, look, it's just like,
one very powerful gratitude exercise that I did around money. I was between contracts and I wasn't making any money. And I was living with my boyfriend at the time. Well, no, he was my friend and then boyfriend. We've been friends for years, and I was like, I need to stay. So I stayed with him, and I was feeling not worthy and not abundant. Took a notebook and I started writing down all the things that I was receiving that weren't actually money. So I was like, hey, if I was working, I'd be paying half the rent here. And I wrote that down. And then I had gotten some free tickets to something, a concert or game or something for somebody. Somebody bought me lunch. I wrote that down. I had gotten a discount on something that I was bought that was 50% off. I wrote that down. By the time I was done, I had made $1,400. I had $1,400 in gifts and $1,400 in credit. So I started looking at money differently in that way as well, which our athletes can do when they go to school. Like, you technically, if you're going on a scholarship, you need to write down, my daughter need to write down $30,000. You need to acknowledge that you just received.
Yes.
Like, like it came in your hand and you gave it back to somebody. $30,000. And you think you're not a powerful manifester. Get out of here.
Do that with your money. Look, and here's what people get so caught up on when they get their paycheck, right? Whether you're a contractor or whatever the case may be, people get so caught up on what they have to pay and they get mad about it. And they'll say self-defeating stuff about their money. And I kid you not, you know what? I go in on pay and to just like you, like I have, my salary, but I also have my contracts and stuff, income coming in too. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Look, I got a little smile on my face. I'm bouncing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My account is literally called Abundance Flow. So I have Abundance Flow for checking. I renamed it Abundance Flow, and then there's Abundance Reserve, and that's my savings account.
I love it.
put you know, people, that's another tip for kids if they want to put like different names on their accounts, like buy mama house fund, or whatever makes it mentally feel better for you. So it's been years.
Give it an
First
assignment.
one I ever did was called Pay Me First.
Nice. Yes.
First time I renamed my account, because I remember having this conversation with my father in my 20s. I conceptually would not save money because I felt like it was going somewhere else. And I was like, Daddy, I don't know where I got this from. I was like, Daddy, if I put it over there, it went somewhere else. Like I looked like I couldn't get it. And I'm a smart girl. I just couldn't get it. And he was explaining to me, like, if you don't put it there, you don't have it. You don't have it. And most of my credit clients are using their credit cards for emergencies. Not even emergencies, for groceries, for tires going flat, or whatever, because they don't have a stash. So I'm telling them, out of every check, I don't care if it's $10, $5, $15, $100, you need to put something away. But my first rename on my account was called Pay Me First. And it was more of a mental thing. I think I still have it. It was more of a mental thing because I didn't get the concept of paying myself or saving money for me. So now, 20-some years later, I am a bill. So before the car,
my mom said that for years. She used to say it like this, Corinne. She was like, "You're not the only person that owe them people. Pay yourself first."
I'm a bill.
All the time.
Because you be out here working 2 jobs, make your car payment and your mortgage and pay these phone bills and stuff, and you won't do that for yourself. I'm a bill. Sorry.
Yeah. That's real talk. That's good stuff right there. Well, look, we only have 4 minutes left.
Wow.
Right. Time goes by so fast. And this has just been such an absolute joy. We didn't get to some of the other questions that we wanted to get to. Totally okay. We've addressed them on other shows. So I want to conclude on a high note. I want you to, if you would, share with our viewing and listening audience your top 3 or 4 or how many ever credit, wealth, and abundance must-dos. And then if you would be kind enough to close us out by sharing your contact information, how folk can get your book, and all of those good and amazing things, because we definitely want this. HSRN's national listening audience is almost 500,000 strong. So it's going to be a whole lot of folk. They're going to get your information. So please, I'm going to give the floor to you to send us off with an abundance explosion of goodness.
So top 3 things. I would say we've probably covered all of them. One is, we were talking specifically about credit, but add budget in there. Know where you are. Know your numbers. Write everything down. Figure out what it is. Analyze it. Don't judge it. And just start from there. Good, bad, or different. Low score, high score, good budget, low budget. You just got to know where you're starting and be okay with it. So you know where you can set an intention and go. So know where you are. Don't be afraid. Lots of people are afraid to look at it. The next thing I would say is education. There's so much information out here that you can get. Come to me. I will sit down with you for free and work it out. Other resources you might have to pay for, but in general, I want to give this all away as much as possible. So educate. Learning should be a constant thing, even after college. You're going to go to college and learn about your books. You need to learn about yourself and your money and what to do with your life to have it work well, to manage yourself as a business. And then lastly, but firstly, is gratitude. I do nothing without gratitude. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Grace, gratitude for the pennies, gratitude for the dollars, gratitude for the checks, gratitude for favors, gratitude for everything. I don't care what it is. It will keep coming to you. It's the most powerful thing to add to anything that I'm doing. So any speaking, any working, any investing, anything I'm doing, the gratitude is like the extra secret sauce to put on it.
Yes.
I would say about that. As where to find me, you can find me at www.cuремycreditscore700.com at work. Also on Instagram, Corinne Hamilton. My book is on with my co-authors is by Violet Grace. We wrote on the pseudonym, A Course in Gratitude, and that can be found on Amazon. And what else? What else we got?
So what I'm going to do is I will post your contact information and all of that. I'll grab that from one of the emails you sent, and I'll just copy and paste it into the chat window so that folks have it as a constant point of reference. You're awesome.
Thank you. I'm also open for speaking engagements as I head to my TED Talk.
Yes.
You can say you heard me win.
You work with, I know, so just so you know, so for all of our Washington, D.C. metropolitan area listeners and viewers, Corinna's actually in Prince George's County, Maryland, and accessible. But do you work with folk all over the country?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Information, people wherever they are in the country.
California, New York. I've had one call me from overseas. I think she was in Kuwait or somewhere.
Love it, love it, love it. So yeah, so we're going to share your contact information. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Hope that you will come back again, because we're gonna keep talking about money. It's good. Look, it'll come up again and again and another one and another one.
And another one.
Like, right. It's gonna come up again and again and again. We hope that you will come back and join us again. Corinne Hamilton, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence today. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We will see you right back here on House Talk Pregame with Dr. Lauren Pitts next weekend at this same time, 11 a.m. on Heritage Sports Radio Network, Facebook Live, and Zoom. Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.